Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the 1/144 scale high-grade Universal Century Geara Zulu Angelo Sauper use, or as I like to call it, the high-grade Universal Century Lange Bruno Gun Plus. That also happens to come with a free Geara Zulu piloted by someone I'd rather forget about, from the Gundam Unicorn OVA series. When it comes to the looks, it all depends on what you focus on. There's only a few seam lines on the mobile suit itself, the molding and the detailing are also quite good, but the problem is of course that this machine has some quite elaborate and very ornate markings that we simply couldn't expect to be molded in color. So Bandai went with the next best thing, stickers. And lots of them. How many? Well, this kit comes with no white plastic whatsoever. Then we get the usual mono eye and 2 pink stickers for the sensors on the backpack. But even with all of this, there's still a lot of painting left to do. White for these 2 stripes on the shoulders, these stripes on the chest, these things on the chest, and the side of the sensor radome. Then we need gray for the thrusters, some pipelines on the gun, brownish gray for the handle, and finally we need pink for these sensors. But even with all of that, it's still not quite right. The dark pink that the model kit is molded in isn't exactly the purple that it should be, so you might want to paint that too for perfect color accuracy. It's not horribly off the mark, but it's enough to be noticeable. So straight out of the box, all I can say is, for the most part, Bandai did the best what they could for what they had to work with. Or in other words, it's not particularly great exactly because of all of those little details. Of course, this also means that should you decide to paint it, it'll make for a really cool showpiece of your Xeon mobile suits or your modeling skills. And talking about really cool things, the Lange Bruno Gun Plus. Sure, it might have a seam line running right through the middle, it might need quite some paint, but it does look really awesome. And then when we have a look at the back, it even comes with an ammo belt that is flexible enough to still allow for some nice posing. And if you want to have some more dynamic poses, he also comes with an open left hand. Then next up, we get this shield that looks really good from the front, but is quite disappointing when you look at it from the back. This is not supposed to be hollow, and it even shows us that on the front cover of the box. On the bright side, the brace that connects it to the arm is pretty cool. It has a normal peg on one side and kind of an angled peg on the other side so that it doesn't get in the way of the gun. It's also cool that it clicks onto the arm so that you have no unsightly holes there. So it's another thing on this kit that with a little bit of work will end up looking really good. And those are already all of the normal accessories that we're getting. We do have a few leftover parts like a normal non-commander antenna version if you want to demote Angelo Sauper or you want to have this thing as a, I wouldn't say a normal soldier because it's still very ornate, but a more normal high-ranking soldier, shall we say. And if you want to rank him down, we also get these normal arm guards, which do not have the kind of spiral thing on the side. So with all of the accessories out of the way, let's have a look at the articulation of this thing. The head is on a ball joint and hinge combo, although the ball joint isn't really doing a lot in terms of upwards and downwards movement. It's mainly going to take care of the still quite limited side-to-side movement. And then when you have the head all the way up, you will see that there's a little track on the bottom for you to move the mono eye around. But because the mono eye is molded on there, you can also poke it directly. The shoulders will go forwards and backwards a little bit, go up about that far. This thing does move upwards a little bit to give it slightly more movement, but they still won't go up quite all the way. Then they'll rotate around below the shoulders, bend at the elbow on a single joint. The hands are on ball joints, will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. What's also on a ball joint is the waist, so it goes forwards a little bit, backwards a little bit, will wiggle around and rotate around all the way. Then on the backpack, these giant fuel tanks will go forwards and backwards a little bit, and of course will also rotate around. this thing will go up and down, and then the Bruno gun itself is on a double joint. It's on a ball joint here and a normal hinge there, so it does have quite some movement for being just a gun. The front skirt is unfortunately molded together with no easy way to separate it. The legs go forwards quite nicely, backwards not that much because of the giant back skirt. The side skirts go out a little bit, allowing the legs to go outwards about that far, although the main limiting factor here is the ball joints and not the side skirts. These will also allow the legs to rotate around only a little bit, and then we do get an extra joint right there to allow the legs some interesting forwards and backwards movement, and we also see a hole for an action-based connector. Then the knees are double jointed, although nothing too special there, and the same goes for the feet. They're on the usual double joint, hinge at the top, ball joint at the bottom, forwards a little bit, backwards a little bit, side to side a little bit, and will also rotate around a little bit. So overall, the Geara Zulu has serviceable articulation. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it's enough for him to take those poses you want him to make and to look cool in combination with all of his detailing and of course that giant gun that he comes with. So as always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And I feel that this kit is perfect for two kinds of people. First of all, people looking for a challenge with a big payoff. There's some intricate and nicely molded detail to be painted here that will look absolutely stunning once you're done with it. The Geara Zulu definitely isn't perfect, but it's more than good enough where it counts to give you maximum results for minimum effort, relatively speaking. The second kind of person then that this is good for is for the person who just really wants that big gun, perhaps to stick it on something else. It might not be perfect, but damn does it still look awesome, and I am definitely looking forward to permanently equipping it to either my standard Geara Zulu, as I showed on Instagram, or to my Geara Doga that I'll have to build sometime in the future. The person that this is absolutely not for is the straight builder who is allergic to stickers, or someone who would want this thing to come with all of the accessories that it should have come with, because this thing could have come with a few more, but really that would have driven the price up, and I think most people are really going to get this for either the gun or the amazing looks of this machine. Anyways, on to some size comparisons. First of all, here is next to a standard Geara Zulu and the Sinanju piloted by his beloved full frontal. Next up, here he is next to Target Practice, and finally here he is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And I gotta say, even though the Geara Zulu is a quite slender machine by Xeon standards, that backpack in combination with the Bruno gun does give him some nice added bulk. So that's all for this review of this amazing gun. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.